So once again, welcome all. I'm very happy to introduce Rashmi, who has suggested this film, today's film for discussion, Billy Elliot. Rashmi suggested this film for September 5th, as I said. Rashmi is an assistant professor of English working for the Department of Collegiate Education, Government of Karnataka, and she's posted in Kushalnagar first grade government first grade college. She has a PhD from NIAS Bangalore and an MPhil degree from our university, EFL University Hyderabad. She researches and publishes in the areas of media studies. She engaging with questions related to technology and society. Her doctoral work focused on changing media consumption practices via mobile phones and other peripheral technologies among the digitally marginalized users in Bangalore. More recently, she has developed an interest in sociology of higher education. She translates social science and critical theoretical literature between Kannada and English languages. She's a part of Social and Digital Media Fellowship at the Sarai program, CSDS Delhi. Welcome, Rashmi, and over to you.
Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. I don't know whether should I say good evening or good night or what this is. Yeah. How should I address should I start with the question that was posed, or just continue on with what I had for,
Left to you, really.
Okay, so why we chose this, it's not just about, I mean, there are so many languages, and also films a matter of taste. It's about, what one person likes, the other person may not like, and what one person finds very informative, the other person may not find it so informative. But also there were several angles that I thought this particular film kind of delineated very well, which I mean, I don't have a frame of reference. So it's like if we are speaking about what kind of other movie that we have, so I can't really say in comparison to what are we saying this is better or worse. So I mean, that said, we can have this discussion later. I'll just continue on with what I have in mind for, I mean, it's not, I'm not even coming here as an expert. I'm just a person who really enjoys watching movies. I don't work in the area of film studies, or neither am I a film critic. So mine's a very, what do you say, layperson's idea of what films are, what good films are, and just go by the personal taste. So that said, Billy Elliot is I mean, it's a movie that inspired me a lot in the recent past for several reasons. It's like because of the relationships and the way it kind of brings it out, and also go into, it's like particular gendered angle here is, I feel, is about the masculinities and the masculine culture more. It's not about choosing to dance. So what I want to kind of bring out by kind of introducing this film today is to delineate those angles which I feel are very interesting in this particular movie. So I mean, this film, let me begin with a few facts. So this was a big theatrical success. So this has kind of been a very popular movie both in theater and film, and then later it went on to become a novel. So somebody kind of took inspiration and then started writing a book about the same theme. And so it's like, this is one of those rare instances where this is first a film and then a novel, not the other way around. And it also kind of focuses on relationships, gender, and more particularly masculine culture, as I said. Oh, I don't have any expertise to comment on cinematography or image or any of those aspects of the film. I'll be only speaking about, gendered and mostly, as I said, the masculinities angle. And I don't also want to bring in the dimension of social class here, even though the background is the miners' strike, and that 1984, we have Thatcher and a lot of things happening in England there, and or to say that the rage and the violence that you see in those homes typically usually happen in working class homes alone. So I don't want to also make that jump there. So I'm just leaving that dimension out here. What I found interesting, so these are all my personal observations and opinions. So they're open for contestation, discussion, debate, everything. So what I found certain interesting aspects, to begin with is, we all know men's movement is a big thing now, not the Jordan Peterson kind, but it's another kind where men are accepting more of their vulnerability, especially, it's like also struggling to express that in ways. And when it comes out, the way it comes out, right, it's like even the well-meaning people, and when all those pent up emotions, or, when they are ensconced in a culture where those emotions and feelings do not have an outlet, or they are not culturally permitted to be that. So what happens then? For me, this movie is an example of that. It's not just about Billy. For me, Billy's emotional expression is very raw. So it's with Michael, but it's also a contrast to the culturally seasoned, gendered emotional expressions of Tony and Jackie. They're already kind of, well entrenched in that patriarchal or the masculine, where it's all about, stuffing the emotions in. So then there are also these difficult emotions that the movie throughout kind of, in a way, tries to capture. There is grief in the family. The mother has recently passed away. It's been only a year since he has lost his wife. And there is also helplessness in the face of forces bigger than themselves, like coal miners strike. So there is somewhere in the movie where Mrs. Wilkinson's husband says, it's better they close all these pits, and kind of, instead of letting these miners strike, because there is no use, it's not viable option anymore, because there are other energy options in 1984. And when this movie was made, or this is placed in 1984, and but miners don't know that. They think, the old union values still work. And but then the helplessness is something that comes across, I mean, in every scene, perhaps. And the way the family deals with it, here are the two grown men, once the father, the other's, young son. There are only few emotions that come out inside that family. There is rage, there is violence, and those are the only ones which are permitted. And it's also a culture of rage, violence, and avoidance. So it's a particular masculine culture that I want to kind of, point out. It's not that they don't have finer emotions. Say, for example, there is a scene where one piano, first scene where Billy is playing on the piano some random notes, and father comes in and just like shuts it. So it's almost like he can't say that he has lost. So he's trying and grappling with that grief and loss, and it's the only way he can express that is by kind of, being angry at himself for doing that. And so there's another scene where Jackie wants to save Tony from getting arrested when he gets up at 4 a.m. in the morning. And then, it's like Tony shames Jackie. So it's that very shaming culture. It's like, you are useless. You are ever since mother has died, all you do is mope around or something. But then they hit each other. So it's this, the only way anything in that family. So everything is subsumed in that rage and violence. And so Tony also avoids conversation, for example, with his sibling about death, where there's one scene where Billy asks about, what he thinks about death, and he doesn't want to discuss that. So none of these expressions are allowed inside that home. And there is a child growing up who is still not totally seasoned in that culture. And now here is a counter and a challenge to all that these two men stand for. And that for me was a very interesting angle to enter this movie. And I mean, even the same thing happens with the parting scene. So it's almost like, there is a parting scene, and from by that time we have seen Jackie totally transform, but then there is still Tony trying to say that he misses him, but then he can only say when he can't hear him. So these are certain nuances which speak about, what men go through and it's not really, I mean, even though this film's made in 2000, the time that we live now is not very different from what has been depicted there. So as much as as much important it is to focus on Billy's journey, I'm also focusing on these two other men who are part of that same thing. It's like what happens to them. And when there are deeper, finer emotions, for example, whether it is loss or love or care, when they surface, they either clam up or avoid expressing it. So it's like either avoidance or stuffing it in. Say, for example, there are a few scenes there. So, Billy's dance on the Christmas Eve when he's totally moved, but then he can't tell his son that he's moved. So it's like, even there, he's almost like it's the silence that comes out. And when Billy chases after him, when he leaves the room, it's like waiting in anticipation, almost like what is he gonna, what has he thought about it? And it's almost like, he says just go home, and then he comes and sits next to his bed. So these are all instances for me about those emotions in men. So the entire culture in which these men are bred, where they really think, it's like the vulnerable and the soft spots to them are not some things that they want to kind of let out. For me, that is the angle that I want to approach this film. So even for example, with all the openness that Billy comes with, so there is also, you see Billy's discomfort to open the letter in front of his family, because he knows he cares too much for this particular position there in the school, and then he can't really be open with either of these two men. It's like the missing of the mother, and so it's almost like the whole thing, the vulnerability part is avoided within the family. So that's the thing that I wanted to highlight. And then what was also interesting to me was ballet here is associated with sexuality. It's like there is constant reference of poofs in the film when boys get interested in it. So it's not called girly, for example. So young boys associating themselves with activities usually chosen by girls would imply that they're homosexual. So that's a reference that, that's not very obvious. So I have not seen this happening elsewhere. And we all know, with my fair association with the queer movement, I also know that gay always doesn't translate into comfortability with the femininity or the realm of the feminine values. So that angle was interesting to me. I would love to listen to what you people think about it. And also, it's like that semi-erotic friendship between Billy and Michael, where he says, like, just because I like ballet doesn't mean that I'm a poof. So it's almost like he recognizes that he's a homosexual, almost a budding one. But then, the way the disclaimers are provided, for me, why that association? Dance and girls and feminine, fine. But then why being gay is something that I'm still kind of, trying to understand. And also in terms of the value of the film for, it's like the earlier point that I was making about emotions. So the artistic expression in children, we know have, those expressions have a therapeutic value, and like feelings need release. And then it is Billy, it's not so much of being a dancer there. It is about, trying to find an outlet to what he's feeling inside. And when the atmosphere around him doesn't allow him to kind of, let it all out. For me, that is the angle that I approach. So later, yeah, somebody else recognizes a talent within him. So that's the teacher's role that, I wanted to discuss if we had this discussion on September 5th. But then, it's something that he wants to kind of let out. For example, so when Mrs. Wilkinson comes home and then tells these two men that, he missed an audition and then he should have been there, he says, like, don't even broach it. This is not the time. You don't know exactly what's going on at home. And the dance that follows is not just art. It is something much, much deeper. It is about, all those things that are inside of a human being, especially one as young as Billy. It's like, and this could happen to any boy. It is not just about a boy here. It's also, and more so with boys, because, if it were a girl in Billy's place, it would have been a slightly different thing. He would be allowed to kind of feel these things, but then he's going crazy inside, and the only way he kind of lets it out is through dance. Dance is a medium. So yeah, somebody else recognizes what is it that this dance can do to his life, and that is another relationship, another discovery there. But then for Billy himself, because Billy is seen dancing even before he discovers ballet. So it's for him, it's about like letting go. It is about, feeling free, as he once says, that it's almost like I feel like I am flying when I do that. So that is the feeling that, so those are the issues that I want to bring in here. And also, yeah, I mean, the relationship between teacher and a student, and the possibilities it offers for both here. So Mrs. Wilkinson, she's caught up in a small town, and she's less than satisfied with her own life. And Billy seems like a redemption from it. And he's also searching for his deceased mother somewhere. And then, it's like he sees in her not just a guide and a mentor, but also somewhere a mother figure. And his granny is another figure, but, he's with all, probably she has Alzheimer's, or she has amnesia. I don't know what she has, but she can't respond to his needs, even though he longs for it. And everything that he values in that home, it needs to be done in privacy, in secrecy. Otherwise he'll be shamed for it. It's like he comes home and he hides those ballet shoes, beneath his cot, and these are the things. So it's also the conflict that he kind of finds between choosing ballet and family. So there is also that undertone of betrayal. It's like, am I betraying my family by choosing to go with this and not with boxing, for example? So it's about that young boy who's going through all this in a house, and being able to kind of let it out in a way which is healthy for him, probably. So that is something that I noticed. I also want to kind of, like some fun facts here. So this is a dialect that coal miners sometimes use, and there's so many dialects here. I was just looking up on dialects, and they say this is some Geordie or Tyneside or Teesside or whatever. So you might have noticed that they don't say I, they say us, are. So there is shite, there is Bali for ballet, and more of those things. And also, I mean, in terms of style, Billy's dance is more flamenco than ballet. So yeah, I mean, that's where I would like to stop and want to listen to what you've got to say.
Yeah. Thanks, Rashmi. That was quite an interesting overview, particularly from looking at the characters in depth. And at this point, I'd also like to make it clear to all of us, this is something we've been following implicitly, I think, and that is we've all brought our own approaches to the films. Some of us are comfortable with, given our disciplinary histories in doing narrative analysis, character analysis. Some are able to look at it from a larger sociological perspective. I think that this Talking Films Online group has no set agenda or plan or one kind of perspective with which people work. That I think is itself its strength. The other thing that I want to mention here about Talking Films Online, or the choice of films that have come so far, I don't think we are operating, at least looking at the choices so far, with any idea of good and great cinema. I think whatever has touched us, whatever has been important to us, and whatever we feel is interesting for a discussion, we have brought that to the forum when we have asked for suggestions. So thanks again, Rashmi. And in terms of this film and my own quick response to it, I love the way in which the film juxtaposes the outside conflict, what is happening with the miners, the emasculation. I mean, so much of what is happening to Billy is tied up with the emasculation that the father and brother are going through, as a result of the strike. And as a result of that, they need to affirm and to perform masculinity in a particular kind of way, which is what they want to impose in the family. So I'll stop here, and anyone who wants to take off about the film, most welcome to do it. Please let me know. Either unmute yourselves or raise your hand, and please let me know. Samvartha, you're unmuted. Would you like to say anything?
Good evening. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Layali.
Yeah, I'd like to reflect on Elliot character. This boy, young boy, exhibits positive and strong, even stubborn character. He strives for his ambition. He has a strong personality. This kind of people never yell or cannot be even surrender. Also, we can see that the film is, or the director is, show the film in kind of drama, dramatizing of the conflict between rational from one side, which is from the father's side, and passion or passion from the son side. And from real life examples or situations, we can see that the parents are paying attention for the surroundings and or what the others would say, even sometimes more than sometimes they are not themselves convinced with their attitude, but they are giving much attention or care for the surroundings, what the others would say about this male who is involving in female deeds or actions like ballet dancing. From my side or from my point of view, at least and especially when there is no harm, we shouldn't take counter attitude. Rather, we should support, even if that path wasn't right, then the children will appreciate that attitude later. And one final comment I'd like to share that it is a good sign that Elliot hasn't wear or dressed in female. I mean the clothes or dress for show. He keeps his character as male. He is keeping his character. Because nowadays we find even male who men who is performing belly dance and are involving in unpleasant scenes, even cannot accept it. Finally, as a parents, either we will have children who have strong personality like Elliot, or who or we are having children of weak personality. We will be responsible about their choice. Why we did not let them to choose their direction, their path? Then, even if they discover that this path is not good, unless they will appreciate, they will be responsible about their choice. So we don't need to force them or control them. We can guide them, especially when there is nothing harm in the situation. Also, the absence of mother give double responsibility in terms of father's role. It's normal he expressed such refuse or contradiction, but at the finally he supported. He extremely give support to his son. This is all from my side.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Layali, for your reading of the film. Anyone else would like to come in? Rashmi, you want to say anything?
Yeah. I just want to add to that. It's almost like, the transformation that we see in Jackie, the father, it's not usually the case in a household like that. It takes much longer time. So the cinema has shortened that time, that particular transformation. Transformations happen, but not at that pace that, it's like one particular day he goes and realizes that that's what he should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit it took me a little while for me to warm up to the film because as it began, I felt, it came broadly under the genre of, inspirational movies, so to speak, which have rather predictable plots. But gradually, what really engrossed me in the film was the emotion invested in the moments. You know, the film had its moments. There were several scenes, you know, the goodbye scene to Billy at the bus station, and even the opening scene, you know, where the grandmother, probably suffering from dementia, is walking away, and Billy is chasing her out in the garden and bringing her back. And also, of course, the exchanges between Billy and the teacher. So these moments in the film somehow were, you know, those really heartwarming, overwhelming kind of moments which I was taken in with. Yes, and the background of the miners' strike is very interesting in the film. But you know, Billy's father, that is Jackie, becoming a scab, I felt was a bit too sudden, that transformation. And but that's just okay, you know. I mean, that probably is nitpicking on my part. And apart from that, of course, the dancers, I mean, both the teacher and Billy, the dancing is just brilliant, which I thought I really enjoyed in the film. And other than that, Rashmi has already very beautifully, you know, like laid the ground for the film as a study in masculinities. Yes, Rashmi, you're absolutely right. The film does open out very beautifully for analysis of masculinities. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Yeah. Anyone else? Rashmi, you want to respond? You want to say anything at this point? We'll go to Sanjay Kumar, who had unmuted himself. Sanjay Kumar.
Not at this point.
Okay, okay.
I'm in complete agreement. So, I mean, that was the point that I was making earlier as well. The transformation seems too sudden. So it's not usually that way in the real life. And it takes much more. And there's also, you know, it's like the 360-degree transformation from a violent father to a loving father is a little hard to take. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, Sabha, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I want to share my opinion about this movie as an audience. Well, like as we know that most of us like watch a movie to entertain ourselves, and at the end of the movie, we come up with so many things that we learn from watching a particular movie. So here, in this movie, I am not like getting in what is suitable or non-suitable for boys or girls. I'm like I found the movie is like very inspiring one. It teaches me like how to face the obstacles in order to achieve our dreams. Yeah, so that we can find happiness in our life. This is like what I like most in the movie. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Sabha, for your response. Anyone else? Yeah, so I think one of the things that some of my friends keep telling me is why don't you discuss popular cinema in the group? I think this is an instance of a popular and successful film which is entertaining, moving, and engaging at the same time. Yeah, thanks, Sabha, for your response. Anyone else? Those who have not come in so far? Vipin, Tarakeshwar, Sanjay Kumar. Bhagyalakshmi. Would anyone else like to respond? Yeah, Tarakeshwar, go ahead.
Just to fill this slot if there is no one else, I was just wondering, yes, the narrative poses the question of uh, gender, uh, and Lakshmi is right in pointing out that you need to look at the question of masculinity and how it is constructed. But she was trying to say that the question of class meaning is the background. But Nicholas finds that there is an exterior and interior, there is a relationship between the two. I think that line has to be pursued further in the discussion. And add to that, mm, there seems to be a question of uh, the masculinity is tied up with class structure, and escaping from that class structure needs a reformation of that masculinity. It is not deconstruction of the masculinity, but reformation of that masculinity. So this the narrative moves in such a way that he is escaping from that class completely, and that escape from the class, and then the refashioning of the masculinity, they go hand in hand. So that is one point. The other would be contrary to you have a particular kind of uh, gender identity, whether it can bloom in that particular context or not is also important. For him, he was able to go out and realize that whatever the kind of gender identity he would like to project himself on to the world. The others, we don't know what happened to them. Their gendered identities are also unfit in that particular context. Whether they are able to, those identities get an expression within the uh, class, uh, because they don't have an escape from that class. They don't go out. In fact, his father also has not gone out. So only he goes out and looks at that London and that school. He gets awed by it. Yes, my son should go here and study here. So it's an escape route for him too. So it is not just about the question of masculinity, it's also the question of class. Unless you bring these two together, uh, yes, we can, and to understand masculinity, we can keep class in the background and understand it. But the more fruitful discussion would be to bring both class and gender together to uh, understand the phenomena, because both will critically reflect on each other. I'll stop here.
Yeah, and I think pursuing this same point, I think one of the striking scenes in the film is also when the father rushes to the club to tell people that his son has got into the school, but all his other minor friends are sitting glumly. The co-workers are sitting glumly because the union has decided to give in. So on the one hand, there is one who can escape this, or dance is a kind of escape from this immediate kind of situation that they are in. But for many others, it is being hemmed in by that situation, which probably also, I mean, the violence that Rashmi talks about, I mean, we will not able to account for it unless we place it in the sociological context of what is happening to the miners and the strike and the kind of police action and violence. In fact, for me, that was one of those scenes were looked very contemporary. It's like this, it's happening, right now among us. So in that sense, the film had very present day look as well. Yeah. You unmuted yourself, Rashmi. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I want to add to that. I was only kind of bracketing out for that particular discussion to say that, rage and violence need not happen just in working class homes, especially in the masculinities context. Definitely there is that angle. And also the other thing that we have to notice here is the aspiration part of it. I think the father gets convinced only at the mention of Royal Ballet School, okay, not before. It's for him, he sees it as definitely he says he's so young, he's just 11 years old, what will he do? He already sees his future and his elder son's future almost like, there is no future there in that particular coal mining situation. For him, dance is like, what if he's genius in that and he can really click, and the teacher saying that he can actually make it somewhere. And Billy also, for example, there is one scene where he's sitting with Michael. So this is that cross-dressing scene where Billy goes to Michael's house, and Billy sees that he has dressed himself. There is a conversation. So he only has two things in mind. One is being a coal miner. The other one is being a ballet dancer. Those are the only two options available. So there is nothing else for him. So so that's why that intensity that also goes into being a dancer. So if it's like if it were a middle class kid, say for example, the same thing is not seen in Debbie. Okay, a girl whom he befriends and gets close with and all. For her, dance is just another thing. It's not the thing that, as an escape or an aspiration or any of those things. So this, for Billy, acquires larger meaning, and also the father realizes that only when it has the aspirational value, not before. For him, it's like, what are you going to do? It's like, at least boxing is something that it runs in the family and I'm giving you 50 pence for that. What are you going to do dancing? So it's the same thing with a lot of kids, right? It's like when they say they want to go to fine arts, it's the same thing. Like, why not go to engineering or medicine or something else and get your future? So it's only when they see success there that it's validated. Or if I want to do music, for example, it's not the same thing. So it also resonates with all of our situations, even in the middle class households. It's not very different unless we can prove the aspiration there and sorry, the value there, the market value of a particular thing that you're pursuing. It's not usually accepted. It's very difficult game convincing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. Anyone else would like to come in? Vipin?
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just a brief observation in line with what Atakesha was said. What I found really interesting in the film is this interweaving of the class issue with this, the aspiration that Billy has, and the question of gender. So I think this is, there is obviously a question of class mobility there, but I think it is also indicative of a certain historical sort of transformation that British society was witnessing at that period. And I was actually reminded of some of the discussion that we have in, say, cultural studies, the formation of cultural studies, for which this crisis of the left was a very important sort of question. So what probably the film is also talking about is that the history of that sort of a transformation from one sort of political imaginary into another one. Because if you really look at the protest sort of thing, on the one hand, there is police repression, and there is also this background of Thatcherism and all that. But on the other hand, there is also this newly available possibilities for, redefining social position. And so one is from outside, what do you call the crisis of the left is from the outside in terms of police action and all that. But on the other hand, it is also, I think, from within, because there is a certain kind of dissolution of the left politics, and which also results in other kinds of subjectivities. And if you look at culture studies also, it actually ends up with questions of ethnicity, race, gender, and all that. So I think the one very interesting thing about the film is actually it's that it actually captures the historical sort of moment of British history, probably. Yeah, that's from my side. It's just an observation.
Okay. Yeah, that was very, that was an insightful comment, Vipin. Nice. I hadn't thought about it in that way. Anyone else? Bhagyalakshmi? Sanjay Kumar? Sanjay, are you there? Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone? Bhagyalakshmi, Sanjay?
Yeah.
Bhagyalakshmi, go ahead. Yeah.
Um, Thank you, Rashmi, for an interesting movie and its reading. And I feel that it is an R-rated movie that talks about the dream of a child and industrialization, coal miners' life, questioning the notion of gender and all. And but as all of pain, I too feel that transformation is, the father, it's too fast. And also, Vipin's notion of historicizing the movie is very interesting. That's all, ma'am.
Okay, Bhagyalakshmi. Yes, Sanjay Kumar, please go ahead.
Yeah, the same thing. I just wanted to add to that strike 1984, that famous strike, which I remember when Margaret Thatcher was there, and the miners. I remember, listening to BBC. Probably Margaret Thatcher said that you turn if you want to, but the lady is not for turning. So, miners, they kept on striking, and the government was least moved by, their protest, and they wanted to suppress the movement. And that happened at a moment when you will see that just after that neoliberalism emerging, there is a publicity for washing machine in a scene where there is a little small girl, and I think it is that area where Billy lives. And that poster, the advertisement says, "Your ever faithful washing slave." It is an advertisement of service company who produced washing machine in that time. So the advertisement itself promotes the idea of slavery. It is seen in a positive light, which also reflects in the modern slavery what we have. So I think that poster appears twice in the film, and it shows clearly the slogan of this washing machine company, which is very conservative and which promotes the idea of slavery, and at the same time it also reflects the modern slavery in different forms in a neoliberal society. Yes, that's all.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for your response and observation. I think you've kind of drawn our attention to something that many of us might not have, a quick viewing observed very closely. Thanks for drawing our attention to that. Kavya has joined us just now. Kavya, would you like to come in?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay. Anyone else?
That was an interesting observation. It escaped my notice completely.
Yeah.
And also adding to Vipin's point, this is also a time when unionism is kind of seeing its end because they're failing, not just because it lacks its internal strength. In fact, they want to stick together in spite of, those few stray scabs here and there. But then it's just that the context is changing so much. With the coal mining situation, for example, there were other energy options available then, and coal mining was not a lucrative trade anymore. And then what happens to people who are within it, even though their unionism is strong? So that's where we see Tony towards the end, trying to kind of turn completely violent. You've been useless with all these things. I want to go do something, put an end to this all, even if it means arrest. So it's almost it's kind of that situation when you only know one thing and you are also losing that, because the association is very strong. It's also a community, except for one or two people who go out of it out of their own need, perhaps. But that's a thing that I thought is interesting. It's like they were fighting a lost cause in the market thing, right?
Yeah. Anyone else would like to respond? Tarakeshwar, do you want to come back? Geeta? Yeah, Tarakeshwar, go ahead.
No, there's no need to come back.
Okay. Geeta, anything to add?
Not exactly, but I think I agree completely with Tarkeshwar when he said that you need to, foreground class as much as gender in the film, because the two are certainly interlinked. Both the class dynamics affect gender formation and vice versa, and also the question of violence in the film. So violence is as much an issue of gender as it is of class. So the two are certainly interlinked, and it will just become a reductive analysis if we lose perspective of one at the cost of the other.
I think the question of violence, I think in Rashmi's presentation, she was trying to understand violence in terms of a kind of language, an absence of language. So when you don't know how to express it, you express it in a violent way. So I think that insight is also worth pursuing further.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, but that's also an expression, or rather, an outcome of the violence that they are subjected to, in terms of their job benefits and the exploitation of the miners. So they are both, the recipients of violence, and, they also have to therefore necessarily express themselves in violent terms, which of course is expressed within the space of the family. The kind of, for instance, the emasculation in the public, in their work sphere, is compensated for by a demonstration of violence in the domestic sphere. I mean, I don't know if I'm just rambling.
The question that I want to kind of pose is, let's say, for example, if this working class, background were to be taken out, and say, for example, we substitute this with a middle class family, very much, in the same kind of culture, and would it have accepted its son go making these choices as easily? One question. And the second question that I have is, it's like, I mean, we have all seen all classes of men. It's not just the working class which has been subject to violence. But then what are the emotions that are that they're permitted to express one thing and they're comfortable expressing two. So it's like these are the questions. I mean, that's exactly why I provided that disclaimer, to say that it's like, because I've seen violence in far more sinister ways even in middle class homes. It's like where it comes out, or it may not be direct hitting, but it might be something else. And rage is something that is common. So it's like rage is it's one shade more than anger, but then it's like anger sometimes is self-protective. It's almost like it tells you what is wrong with what is happening. But then rage is something else. It's directed, over the other person. It's almost like you're taking out something that's happening inside to projecting on the other. Yeah, that's the question that I have. So as much as we are sensitive to those questions of class, I also want to bring in that particular angle. Would it have been different if it were an upper middle class family in that place? Yeah, the reactions would have been different. Would they have accepted as easily as perhaps an enlightened, whatever in quotes, family would have done? It's like, I mean, these trappings are there irrespective of classes. Yeah, it's like class accentuates it, but then will it be different is the question that I also pose to the group. Yeah.
Yeah, in a sense, I think if one is just talking about dance as a kind of in terms of a choice of career for a young child. In fact, yesterday while watching the film, I was reminded of many of these reality show, dance show, and particularly dance show participants who come on TV, and young boys who are crying, and then their father comes, and then the camera turns to them to say, look, now your son is on this stage, look at the success that he has found. And then there's a kind of reconciliation with the family. So if one is talking about it in terms of choice of career, maybe, as you say, Rashmi, the response might might not be very different across classes. But I think if one is also trying to account for, I mean, it's not a congenital kind of, dislike for dance or music that the father has. So there's a certain circumstance from where it's coming and what it is tied with, right? So probably, contextualizing that emotion would be interesting, or at least looking at the way the film contextualizes it for us would be interesting, because the film does do that, right? It gives us a sense of how the family circumstances are, and the death and the strike, and all that is happening around them. So in that sense, I think the film does contextualize. So it's not an irrational rage coming out of nowhere. So there's a particular context in which I think we see the father grappling with that emotion. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else want to say anything at this point? Yeah, Sanjay Kumar.
This is.
Yeah.
So I was like thinking about what Dr. Tarkeshwar said about violence in the language. That somehow I believe that Billy, he has not been expressing much, but he has been using his body language when he dances, when even he's walking, or even he's alone in his room. He is practicing, and he is a kind of giving outlet to his feelings, to his expressions. And most of the time he has been successful in kind of channelizing his energy to artistic activities. Only when he is frustrated at the end, when he appears for audition, and then it seems that he won't be selected. So this boy is there and he's asking what happened, then he slaps that boy. Probably at that point of time, he has lost this ability to find out an outlet for his emotions. The last hope, which was like, dancing and getting selected in the audition. So that time he indulges in violence. Otherwise, most of the time he is very understanding and he has a very good relation with this girl and also Michael. And he tries to understand his feelings. He is very sympathetic to his friend Michael. So I think somehow he tries to, in a way, sublimates his feelings into artistic expressions, and that is dance. And other point is about the relationship, which has already been highlighted. But somehow I was thinking about this, the earlier film which we saw, Kumbalangi Nights, when you have these brothers, they are fighting with each other and finally they stand for each other in the family. So they support each other, and that earlier violence has gone away. In the same way, in this film also it happens that the father, who has not been supportive at all for his choice of dance, and who believes that his son should rather go for boxing or some other kinds of sports like wrestling. He has mentioned wrestling and maybe some other sports also. Probably he has mentioned football, I think. I've forgotten. But he believes, these are the sports, manly sports, okay? And doing dance is kind of effeminate activity. So for this reason, he doesn't support, but later on, probably he realizes it. So, and, but I don't know whether he really becomes progressive in that aspect, but at least he realizes the talent of his son, and he thinks that his son can make a big name and he can go to London and become very successful. So at least he allows his son later on as his brother, elder brother also. So the initial conflict which we see in the film has been resolved later on to support the artistic ambitions of Billy. So I thought of Kumbalangi Nights. The same thing happens in that film also.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Tarakeshwar, go ahead.
Just taking the cue from Sanjay, I think there is some threads which are running through our discussion. One is about this question of gender and sexuality. Is one thread. The other is coming of age, kind of thing. Bildungsroman. How do they become adults, and what happens? So these issues have been played out in most of these narratives in different contexts. So I think whether we like it or not, there is some threads which run in our choice of the movies, except one or two which we selected because they're classical, they're important in the history of films, and it's worth discussing them. Except that otherwise, the choices made by most of the members, there seems to be some kind of threads which are running in the uh, background. So it is worth pursuing it even after the discussions. What I'm trying to say is that if these threads can be teased out, and with the experience of watching these films, if somebody can write, now we are focusing on the text, a film, and its context, and how to understand it, and what are the issues that we can tease out and discuss through the film. But what I'm trying to say is that we can now focus not in terms of the text, but also some of these threads, and trace these threads across these movies and make an argument. I think in the coming years, if the members can write papers on some of these issues, using the films that we have discussed and also that we have not discussed, and make presentations, that can also be a good way forward for the group.
Tarkeshwar, I think you have just given us an idea for a book.
Let us write papers and present it, then we can think of the book.
Yes.
Yeah. So talking films online can go in different directions, something that we began on a whim, Geeta. I think we can now think of other ways to take our discussion forward. And in fact, one of the
formalize it a bit,
And one of the reasons I've been documenting our discussions is also precisely this, that we all have all the material with us for whatever we want to use it later, for the papers that we want to write or the books that we want to write. So in that sense, since we are not in the habit of making summaries of these discussions, at least we have the recorded recordings for us to pursue our writing further. Anyone else? Would you like to say anything?
Hi.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kavya.
As we were discussing about dance as a profession for men and class, I was thinking about few interviews I have done as part of my PhD work. So in that also I found this interesting. Actually, men who are coming from lower middle class families and those who want to pursue dance as a career, actually their families, they didn't care about it, because actually they can't care about it. There are so many people said that they have so many children in their families, so what they are doing, how they are going to live, so they didn't care about it. So that carelessness they made use of to make dance into a career later on. So when I saw this film, I was thinking about that. In one sense, I think for Billy's father, for him, this gives Billy a life out of the coal mines, and he can move to a city like London. I think for people from countryside, it may be a desire. So in that sense, it gives them a class mobility, maybe in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're pursuing dance because no one notices. So that's how, that's what you're saying, right?
Like from the 4 or 5 men I have interviewed, none of them were from like very well-to-do families. Not even well-to-do, they were not from middle class families. Actually, they were from lower middle class families. So initially they pursued it with local teachers, but later on when they shifted from their place and moved out to study it as a profession, their families didn't care, but they couldn't provide their fees or anything. They made their money through teaching dance to small children. That's what many of them equally said. I didn't notice that fact of class then, but when I watched this film, I was reminded of that.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I think let me wind up this session by thanking Rashmi for readily agreeing to suggest a film, and also I think for kind of moving the date. I think you had something else in mind when you thought of this film, and I asked you to come in earlier. So thanks for suggesting the film. It was certainly interesting. And as this discussion has shown, we're all making connections and building some thread of discussion which is running throughout in every session. I also thank everyone who has joined in the discussion today, and hope to see you in the coming week. I think we'll really have a nice roundup of films that are coming, and really look forward to the discussion in the coming weeks. So good night then. That's all from my side. Have a good night and a good week till we meet next Saturday.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Bye.